right, welcome to another edition of Talking Nonsense with Brian. Today we're going to go in a little bit of a different direction. We got the upcoming Fort Lauderdale Air and Sea Show coming up May 8th and May 9th, right around the corner. And we're going to do a little preview. I got Jimmy Smith here, the expert, local expert. You'll see him running down the beach there in the air show, screaming and be the only guy with a boner on the beach, probably. And he's the resident expert on all things flying in the area. Now, in the past, they used to have these massive air and sea shows back in the 90s where they bring in just about everything in the inventory, and they'd have these huge VIP tents, and these VIP tents were the place to watch the air show. One of my buddies used to get tickets, and let's just say back in the day, we'd all end up getting tickets to the VIP. It was basically, we'd all be getting into the VIP tent, and it was a party. They had an open bar, top shelf liquors, a couple different types of keg beers, bottled beers. They'd have these full sandwich stations like sliced steak, turkey, you name it, just meatball grinders and everything. Just a top-notch layout. And then at the end they bring desserts and cookies. But it was basically open bar for the entire air show, and it'd be right in the center line of the whole event happening. And it was the way to watch the air show back in the day. And they took a little bit of a break for a few years, and now the air show's back on. They're slowly building it back up. This year, we're going to go into some of the types of planes and helicopters and the jump teams that are going to be participating in the air show. Basically, it's going to start off, usually the SOCOM para commandos will be opening up the show. Jimmy, you want to give a little background on what the para commandos are going to be doing?
Paracommandos generally start the show. They'll fly up to about 10,000 feet, jump out of a plane. These guys are mostly retired military, whether Air Force, Navy, Marines, Army, range of the Special Forces, and some civilian guys that have jumped. And they just do this to represent all the military people that have jumped in service. Most of them, like I said, are retired, and this is what they do to celebrate their community as far as paratroopers go.
In the past, they've had back in the day when the air show was really at its game, the Navy SEAL, the leapfrogs, what they're called, right? Where they came in, and something happened. A little side story on that is I ended up meeting up with a bunch of them, and my girlfriend at the time, I guess they all thought she was pretty cute, and we ended up taking 4 or 5 of the SEALs downtown Himmerarshi area where Tarpon Bend was and all. And it was on a Saturday night, so they had already performed on Saturday, and Saturday night we met up with them, and these guys were cool as hell, and we took them out, and my brother ended up coming out with us, and all I remember is it was about 2:30 in the morning. We're at Tarpon Bend, and we're still doing shots, and these guys are partying like maniacs, and I think me and my girlfriend ended up leaving, and my brother said, hey, come on, guys, I'll take you out to another place over here. So they went for like another hour or two out, and they're just, banging down hard liquor shots, and they had to perform again then the next day. And so the next day comes, and I called my brother to see if he's going to go out to the show, and he doesn't answer the phone. He's still asleep. And I'm like, oh, boy. And it's a really windy day, and so I said, we're sitting at the beach, and they're like, oh, the Navy SEAL Elite team is coming out. And so you see them all jumping out of the plane. And one by one, they all miss their target. One guy goes right into the palm trees. Another guy goes over the whole thing, hits the concession stand, drops down. And I think he breaks his leg or something. Not one guy landed on mark. And as they're coming down, I'm like, oh, yeah, those guys are cool. I was up with them last night. We were partying. They can really, handle their liquor, and none of them could. They just, every one of them missed their drop. They, like I said, a couple of them landed up against palm trees and, onto the road and across the road, and Yeah, I kind of like walked away like, "Oop, what? I didn't have a part of that." But that was the one funny story with the leap team. Now, usually after they fly, the T6 Texans will come in, and these guys will also be, in the beginning of the show when you're walking over to the beach, you'll see skywriting, and these are usually the planes that are doing it. So, what's your thoughts on the? Give us a little background on the T6, Jimmy.
Well, the Geico Sky Typers are a very famous team. They travel all around the country. It's a six-man team. All these pilots have various amounts of experience, lots of it. Their plane is an old World War II base naval trainer, and some of the pilots today still start in the military, still start with flying those. They're powered by a radial engine, so they have a real nice, unique sound to them, and they do a lot of different, like Brian said, sky typing, and also different formations that were common in World War II and formation flying, and they focus on, they do some typical, if you listen to uh, their announcer, he'll explain what they're doing as far as formations and dogfighting and two ships, single ships. It's kind of like the Blue Angels, but a lot slower. But they're still pretty cool. And the smoke they use leaves pretty cool formations in the sky. So they're good to get pictures of because they're not moving quite as fast.
Yeah. Then usually right after that, they'll bring out the Miss Geico speedboat, and they'll keep one or two of the T6 Texans flying around. And after the speedboat does a demonstration, they'll actually do a race between the speedboat and a T6 Texan. And you can see the Texan trying to like fly as slow as he can, dropping his flaps and nose up attitude a little bit, and trying to keep pace with the boat, and especially if it's there's any waves out that day or something. But it's always good to watch.
The only time I've seen it, it's been a little too rough for them to even really open that boat up. So it's, and they're not too close, so it's tough to get an idea of the speed. But the plane is going to be flying fast enough to fly, and the boat, it depends upon the sea state about how fast they can really open it up to.
Yeah, they can get that thing full throttle on a flat
Then
day.
it might be a race.
Yeah. Now next, the F-16 Viper. Now we're starting to get into some of the fun jets. And why do they call it the Viper, Jimmy?
The technical name is the General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon, and it's just known in the fighting community. They nicknamed it the Viper because if you look at it from the right angles, it kind of resembles a snakehead, and they picked the Viper for the way it strikes, like as in the snake itself.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the whole snakehead thing. That's pretty cool. But it's going to do a demonstration. This will be one of the better demonstrations.
They're one of my favorite teams. Those guys they're awesome. The plane is, when it's light, they don't have anything in it. It's unbelievably maneuverable. It's one of the best demonstrations to see. And the paint scheme they have last year and this year is amazing. You want to make sure to try and pay attention to that. It's painted black with yellow like a snake. It looks awesome. So that's another cool thing about the team this year.
That was the coolest looking jet last year. That paint scheme was phenomenal. So definitely look up, if you got binoculars, focus in on that, get a good picture of it.
You'll be able to get good pictures, especially if it's sunny when they do their slow flyby. They always make sure to angle the plane towards the spectators. That'd be a good opportunity to get some good pictures of a pretty cool paint scheme.
Definitely. Then you're going to see a bunch of Red Bulls pulling out all their stops. They're going to probably start off with the stunt plane that Kirby Chambliss flies. And this guy's a hell of a pilot, huh?
He flies a Zimco 540, which he calls his Red Bull 540. He's very well known and well established air champion, gold medal air racer, racing, aerobatics. He's been doing it his whole career, and he's one of the best in the world at it. And he's a partner with one other guy on his team, and those two regularly in the Red Bull racing circuit win and dominate.
Yeah, when you see this guy fly, it's amazing the things he can make that plane do. They also this year they're going to have the Red Bull Air Force, which are they? How would you describe them?
Well, it's base jumping basically out of a plane. They have wingsuits, so when you base jump, they'll have wingsuits to do that. But they do it out of a plane, and they do aerobatics with themselves with the wingsuits on the way down. I've never seen them. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
I've never seen them either. I have seen some videos online, and I remember one in particular. These guys were base jumping off the side of a mountain, and they go through this canyon, and there'd be like 5 or 7 of them or something, all going kind of like one at a time, but going on the same path with cameras on their head. And I remember one time I was watching, if you zoomed in on like a certain click, like 3 minutes and 22 seconds, you could they all got different colors. One guy's wearing red, one guy's wearing blue, one guy's wearing yellow, but you can see this blue form up against the rocks. So one guy didn't make it, and you have to really pay attention. And you're like, oh my! You can just see, because they're getting down close to these rocks and everything. And there's zipping on over, and they're daredevils. Yeah, it's wild. I saw it a couple of years ago, and I picked up on it. I was like, ooh,
Daredevil is a good word for that too.
Mr. Blue didn't make it, and totally just death on impact. But that won't happen.
These
here.
guys are professionals. I mean, this is what they do, and it's going to be wide open area. Of course, it's all going to depend upon the wind too. If it's too windy, it's going to limit to what the SOCOM guys can do and these guys can do. So hopefully, it's not too breezy.
Yeah,
they do have a cutoff.
But they'll probably be starting around like 10,000 feet, also jumping out, gliding on down, and then at the end, I think they pull a parachute. Pull the ripcord, and a parachute brings them down like the last couple hundred feet or something like that. Now, the most interesting one of them all is going to be the Red Bull helicopter. I don't think it's performed in the Fort Lauderdale Air Show before, and
I've never seen it, and I'm looking forward to it because they're going to do maneuvers helicopters you don't typically do. I guess it's only one of a few in the world that are certified to do aerobatics like this, perform loops, barrel rolls, fly backwards, anything you can think of a plane doing, and even more because they can hover and do it slow. This, I think, is going to be a really good demonstration also because it's just something different, and as like somebody that's in the planes, I'm really looking forward to seeing that too.
Yeah, that should be good. It should be, you're not going to believe what this helicopter can do. Next, they're going to be, and this might not be totally in the correct order, but you'll recognize each
event
as it happens. The C-17 Globemaster is going to make an appearance.
They generally fly by in the beginning. It's a slow flyby. It's a big, impressive plane. They'll put down all the gear, lower all the flaps. You'll be amazed at how does the thing stay in the air flying that slow. It's a very versatile aircraft. It'd be a better demonstration if you could see it at the airport, what they can do with it as far as landing and taking off, how something that size can stop and get going as quick as it does. That's the main abilities of it, and that's why it's so valuable to the military. They can land it anywhere, and it can carry up to 500,000 pounds in cargo. So
yeah, tanks, troops, you name it. There's equipment, and like Jimmy said, it's a short takeoff and landing, so you can land on a really small patch of runway or
3,500 feet.
Yeah. So that'll be pretty cool. The Coast Guard always comes in, and they're going to do their search and rescue demo. What do you got about?
They'll probably be out of Miami Executive Airport. They fly MH-65 Dolphin helicopters out of there. That's my favorite Coast Guard helicopter because they're small and fast, and they can do any kind of search and rescue. They don't have the range of, say, the bigger Jayhawks that the Coast Guard has, which everybody knows. But for what they're going to do around here, it's going to be a pretty cool demonstration. And they'll also use their, I think it's HC-144 Century aircraft, which will come in and drop a raft and drop smoke flares to a person in the water, and just demonstrate how they would work a situation if they were doing an actual water rescue, say, boating emergency or medical emergency or whatever that you may happen on the water. And they're pretty good. I mean, for somebody like me, I'm in the maritime industry. I respect and count on those guys, and they're the best at their job. So it's something people don't want to pay attention to it, but it's still pretty cool to watch them do their job, and it's all practice for them, so they take it very seriously.
Yep. We're lucky to have them around. Interesting story back in the air shows I was talking about in the past. There was one, I forget which year it was in the 90s, but you'll probably remember the story when I tell it. The Coast Guard was doing a demonstration, and basically in the middle of the demonstration, they the divers jump out of the plane or out of the helicopter and go down. Well, the divers jump out, and all of a sudden, everybody just turns around, and all the helicopters and the Learjet, they all take off and fly up over the building, heading out west. And we're like, "What's going on here?" And they never came out. Left the divers in the water and everything. Turned out, ValueJet had just crashed in the Everglades during the air show, and they tore off and actually went straight out to the Everglades to do a search and rescue real time with a ValueJet crash. Happened. We watched it happen live. It was pretty wild. Now, after that, to close out the show is going to be everybody's favorite, the Blue Angels. And there's something different about these jets as compared to in the past, would you say, Jimmy?
They switched this year to the Super Hornet, which is they call the Rhino, versus the past 20 years or so they've been using the Legacy Hornet. The Super Hornet is roughly 25% bigger overall, with a 4.5 foot, just about 4.5 foot bigger wingspan and length overall, and they're about a foot taller on the tail. Just an overall bigger plane. So the maneuvers are going to be basically the same. Some will be a little different, not that we're going to notice. It's going to be more on the pilot side. But it's going to be easier for the people on the ground to see the planes because they're that much bigger in formation. The formations are going to look bigger. And they're a lot more thrust, so they're going to be louder. They can sustain their turns faster and longer with the extra thrust they have. The main thing I think most people are going to notice is going to be the size versus the smaller Hornets, the Legacy Hornets. These ones, the Super Hornets, like I said, are a little bigger and noisier, which is better.
Should be interesting. I haven't seen the Super Hornet fly yet, and this will be the first time, so definitely looking forward to that. Hoping, and every now and then, you might get a flyby from the F-16s out of Homestead. They usually like to make an appearance for the air show. Seen there right down the road, just south of Miami. They'll make a little pass by sometimes. Hopefully it'll happen this year. But that's going to be your lineup for this year's Fort Lauderdale Air and Sea Show.
And another thing I just want to bring up too is a lot of people you'll see, if you do any research or you see people online making negative comments, oh, how can they spend all this money, blah, blah, blah. You can look up whatever number you want. It's all posted. It's all public record of how much it costs for them to fly an hour for the F-16 and the Blue Angels. All this time is allotted in the budget no matter what. These guys have to fly and train those hours, whether they're doing it off an aircraft carrier or they're doing it in the Blue Angels because that's what they want to do in their chosen field in the military at their time in the service. So it's not a waste of money because there's millions of people that enjoy it, and the time is allotted and the money budgeted no matter what. So it's not like you can just stop it and take it out. You could, I guess, take it out of the budget, but then these guys would still be flying and training somewhere else and still spending that money.
Plus, Fort Lauderdale Air and Sea Show in the past used to be the #1 recruiting tool. It would get the most people signing up for the military.
Right, and that's the main
from that air show
objective of these teams, the Air Force, the Thunderbirds, the Viper team, any of them, Blue Angels, is to recruit people. And I'm sure, it just doesn't work on, young kids. It's people that maybe have thought about it or at that age where they're not sure, and they look at that and they decide to go into, the military for a career or whatever, and that's their main job, and I'm sure they do quite well at it.
Now, keep an eye out. They'll start flying in usually that Thursday. Maybe one or two might come in on Wednesday, but majority of them will come in on Thursday, head out, do a little practice run, get a lay of the land. Friday, they usually will do a walkthrough for the big air show on Saturday and Sunday. So if you got to work on Saturday and Sunday, get out there on Friday.
Friday's practice day is the best day, I think. Yeah. There's nobody there. They do just about everything, and it's like I said, it's cool when there's nobody there because you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, there's no crowds, no traffic.
And you can figure out where the center line's going to be.
Yeah, bring your sunglasses, bring a hat. I'm going to bring a knapsack with some beer in it, maybe some vodka, who knows. Come prepared, and you should have a great time this upcoming weekend. And once again, May 8th and 9th. Hope to see you guys out there.